Recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios Brisbane on 102.1 FM and broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Z Games. With 10 years experience and over 500 episodes, Z Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out? Message us on Facebook at ZEVGamesAU.
My name is Evie, and I'm here with
Zahra!
Maylee. Woo! Yeah, party! Oh, just doing some clicks. Yeah, that's right. Welcome to our poetry slam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How you guys doing? How you doing, Zahra?
I'm doing pretty well. I've had a busy, chaotic, but good day.
Yeah.
So things are looking up.
It's a bit warmer today, don't you think? Yeah. Temperature-wise, I was actually wearing a t-shirt for part of the day and going,
I thought it'd be really cold today, so I had my jumper and stuff, and I was just sweating, and I was like, "What is this on my face?"
Perspiration, you.
I forgot it was
It's
thing.
a thing, yeah. And what about you, Maylee? How are you doing?
I have also had a crazy, hectic day, but I'm happy to be here talking about games. That's how I relax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a self-care routine, self-care process. It's like, oh, games? Yes, time for my de-stress.
Yeah. Put on a face mask, little cucumber slices on your eyes, and just talk about video games for an hour.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have face masks?
I forgot to pack some this
Next
morning.
time.
Next time, definitely. Do you also want to have a little pedicure?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Could get some nail polish and just paint little Zs on our...
Wait,
We could do that.
Oh my
That sounds cool.
We could do
We
triple
could
Z.
do that.
We could do it. Could we do Z games? Actually, we could. Oh no, Z games is 9. But it's possible.
Z Games, exclamation mark.
You could put
Yeah. Yes.
We could do this.
We could.
Are we setting up a date night to do this? Is
It's-
this going to be
yeah,
this is what's happening?
Committing
Okay.
to a little spa night, but Z Games themed.
Okay, I'm making a note.
Evie's typing.
Sounds of typing.
It was
Okay.
definitely
Or
not
banging.
a keyboard smash.
It was a coherent sentence.
Yeah.
Yep, it says date night, Maylee, Zahra, nails done.
Sounds nice.
Okay.
I think we're supposed to be talking about other things
Yeah,
now.
let's just jump straight into the news. This week in gaming news, Riot's LEC League nearly partners with an openly anti-LGBT sponsor. The announcement was made between Riot and Neom. Neom, which is a city created by the Saudi Arabian government that was born under a regime that comes with a history of human rights abuses, including persecution of LGBT people. Many involved with Riot, including esports casters, players and developers, were speaking out against the partnership in droves. This all comes after not just last year, Riot Games were accused of a toxic and sexist company culture. Fortunately, however, Riot have tanked the partnership with Neom due to the community outrage. Riot have released a statement saying, "As a company and as a league, we know that it's important to recognise when we make mistakes and quickly work to correct them. After further reflection, while remaining steadfastly committed to all of our players and fans worldwide, including those living in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, the LEC has ended its partnership with Neom, effective immediately." Halo Infinite developers 343 Industries are getting flack for their recent reveal at Xbox Games Showcase. Many complaints have been flooding in about Halo Infinite's lighting, low texture details, and overall flat graphics. 343 Industries have addressed the issue in a community update. John Jasinski, the community manager, has said, "We do have to work to address some of the areas and raise the level of fidelity and overall presentation for the final game." He then says the build used to run for the campaign demo was work in progress from several weeks ago, with a variety of graphical elements and game systems still being finished and polished. While some of the feedback was expected and speaks to areas already in progress, other aspects of the feedback have brought new opportunities and considerations to light that the team is taking very seriously and working to address. There still isn't a solid release date for Halo Infinite, due to come out summer this year. Ubisoft update, Tommy Francois is officially no longer with the company. Tommy Francois was Ubisoft's Vice President of Editorial and Creative Services. Business Insider reported on the situation, stating that sources with knowledge of the matter claim that Tony was fired following the investigation. That is, a number of harassment and abuse allegations pointed at Tommy. However, Ubisoft have not disclosed the nature of his departure, so for now, as it stands, it's all speculation. Francois' departure comes after several other executives stepped down, including Vice President Maxime Belland, Head of Human Resources Cecil Cornett, and Chief Creative Officer Sergei Hascott. If you'd like more information on this week's news, head over to the Z Games Facebook page at ZEDGamesAU or the Z Games website, zgamesau.net. That's all this week in gaming news. There you have it. Lots happening. Another update on Ubisoft. Speaking of updates on Ubisoft, I actually thought of, I should mention that today a source who spoke to Gamma Sutra, who is very close with the Ubisoft community, has apparently reported saying that Tommy Francois has not simply left the company, that he indeed was fired. Again, the company hasn't said anything, so it's all speculation, but we'll keep you updated on what's happening, because I've been following this very closely since so many people were involved with the situation. Yeah, intense times. But in other news, Halo Infinite not looking too sharp.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd because normally when you present, you're showing the most polished part of the game, and you usually sort of put your all into that one little bit, so then it looks as amazing as possible, and then no one has to see what's the other levels look
How
like.
there's like a whole level completely not finished.
But the fact that was clearly the most polished part was a bit unusual, especially for a next-gen presentation.
Halo. It's Halo. And, you know, some of the excuse, which I'm going to say it's an excuse because I'm a bit salty about the situation. The excuse is that, we wanted it to look a bit like the original trilogy with that sort of like old school vibe, is what he said in a previous statement that I didn't mention in the news. But I was like, what kind of excuse is that? Halo, what about Doom Eternal?
Yeah.
You know, like, where did that come from? You want to make that retro again? No, you don't. You progress and you move forward. And, like, I understand that, like, Zahra was saying in the break, actually, while we're listening to the news, that, you know, as visual aesthetics don't make the game, in a sense, right? Like, you know, it's the story, it's about the experience you have, the feeling you get from the journey. I understand that, and there's a lot of feelings I have about Halo. Positive ones. Lots of positive feelings about Halo. But when I saw the actual trailer, I was like, the gameplay, the mechanics look phenomenal. There's plenty of stuff that I'm really loving. But when it came to that, the trailer at the end where they sort of feature the new villain, or I guess the person that you're going, or creature that you're going to kill. So,
yeah, the big bad.
The big bad. And you get like really close into the textures and details of that character. It was really bad, Maylee. I'm looking at you because I know you haven't seen it.
I haven't.
But
I've seen pictures of it, but yeah.
It's like it didn't render. Like, I kept looking and I was like, is it not rendering?
It's like it's not loading in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little bit... It's especially for a game that's coming out of next-gen console. Typically, your expectations is that it's just going to be like... You're going to be able to see every single pore on, like... The,
yes.
On the Elite's face.
Last of Us Part 2. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like, how extraordinary that is. And that's on PS4 right now, right?
Yeah.
So...
And this might be good for it because... how many people have been upset with what they showed, they might be less ready to try and pass a product under par.
Do you think that this is planned?
Oh.
Now that you say that, I'm like, wait, maybe Microsoft were like, you know what? We'll just make it look real bad. No, that doesn't sound counterproductive.
Good press,
I
but
don't
it seems
know.
like bad press.
Halo's been on a bit of thin ice, I think, with I guess with the fan base. It's been a little bit disappointing.
Look, it's been around a long time, and it's really hard. I've never worked in a AAA company, so I don't have any personal experience. But I can imagine that, you know, if you, a bit like Hannah Gatsby, or like anything that you've done really, really well that goes big and everyone loves, you then have the pressure to repeat that yet again, and that's virtually impossible.
You can't recreate the exact same experience and make it new. So, you know, Halo 2 was probably one of the biggest ones. And they were trying so hard to replicate that experience in Halo 3 and it flunked. So, in comparison, it didn't do nearly as well. So, I don't know. You're never going to get it 100%.
Yeah, and I think a part of it is that we do have high expectations because, like, it started off just at a super high bar. But I think it's also worth noting that the gameplay and the mechanics of it look like a lot of fun.
If anyone's seen Apex Legends, there's Pathfinder? Yeah, Pathfinder has like that grappling hook and you can sort of like hook onto things and it will like pull you forward, sort of like a Spider-Man mechanic,
really
right? Yeah, well, Master Chief can do that now, basically.
Graphics are obviously really important, but from what I've heard, it is going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
And like
it's not
going to
pinnacle. Ruin that.
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
and
but
they're
it's
working on the graphics. They've
They've said that they are.
yeah. So I guess we'll see. But
He's, what's his name? John Zex, the community manager, said, you know, there's all these is taken into account all these things, and there's obviously work in progress. Essentially, stuff needs to be polished, stuff needs to be done, but there's also feedback that has, in his words, brought new opportunities and considerations to light. So, you know, they're doing something about it. I just get pedantic because Halo is like from my childhood, and I get very like, no, I want to see this thing evolve into the most beautiful possible variation that it can be every time there's a new game.
yeah.
I'm biased. In other news, there was the Riot's LEC League partnering with Neome, which was caused a lot of controversy. A lot of people were very mad about that, especially given Riot are supposedly making amends and trying to get better after a lot of the accusations and issues that went on last year with their cultural, their community culture being pretty bad. And
They've
then
got a lot of
partnering
work
with
to do.
this was a oversight that should have been considered. I find it really hard that companies miss this stuff.
Yeah, it's good that they have gone back and stopped this partnership, but it's still worrisome that they didn't think of that before they agreed to this partnership.
Who in the department wasn't checking that?
Like, it shouldn't take for people on the outside to hear about it and be like, hang on, maybe don't do that.
They should have it as part of the company that they're not going to partner with.
It's like
things
common
like that.
sense, really.
I feel like it's common sense.
Yeah.
I feel like someone in a department somewhere should be like, hey, can you just like check maybe like a HR kind of situation, you know? It's sort of like, oh, can you like check through to make sure this is something that the community would like? Maybe test that kind of partnership in like a safe environment, get some feedback from your staff internally, get like an internal suggestion.
Like when you're employing somebody, you'll be making sure that they don't have a criminal record. I feel like you should probably check a company's background before teaming up with them.
Even if they didn't care that their partnership was with had those sort of values, I feel like they should have seen the community backlash coming. Companies just keep making those mistakes.
As a company, as a league, we know that it's important to recognize we make mistakes and quickly correct them. You could have easily not made this mistake, especially given like, I don't know. I just feel like some of it's a bit like a no-brainer, but hey, I don't know what it's like to be in those kind of situations and have that kind of pressure and make those kind of decisions. So, I will humbly eat humble pie, but I do think that maybe considering, you know, how minorities might feel about a partnership with a city and or place, government, whatever, that has clearly persecuted a particular minority, whether that be LGBT or otherwise, I think you should have probably vetted that.
Yeah.
Even in a conversation.
Just like think about it. Just be like, oh, actually,
say it out loud in a mirror. You'll see that it's a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks to me for the news. And we are now about to experience the incredible voice of Zahra telling us the story of their experience with Superliminal.
I'm very excited.
I'm pumped.
All right, well, now I'm nervous.
Aw, nah, you're safe.
We won't look.
Look, if something goes bad, I'll just quickly push a button and music will start.
All right. Okay. All right, so Superliminal is developed and published by Pillar Castle. It is on Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. It was released on November 12th last year on Windows and July 7th this year on the other platforms. Okay. Are you filled with feelings of self-doubt? Do you find yourself prone to minimizing massive dilemmas, or for allowing the smallest problems to get blown completely out of proportion? At the Pierce Institute, our patent-pending Somnosculpt technology provides safe and effective dream therapy while you rest in the comfort of our flagship clinic.
Wow.
Somnosculpt will make your dreams come true. A first-person puzzle game, you play as a client experiencing dream therapy. Many are familiar with dream logic, where impossible things happen, strange rules are accepted, and you just don't really know what could happen next. Superliminal is like that. Doors appear and disappear. Objects can appear flat, but become 3D with just the right angle. Big objects become small, and vice versa. It's a topsy-turvy world. And within it, you must solve puzzles in order to progress, with the friendly voice of Glenn Pierce reassuring you, and the less friendly robotic voice of the orientation system coaching you to guide the way. The environment is clinical, but friendly, safe, interesting, and just a little bit silly, until something goes wrong. And you find yourself solving puzzles not just to progress, but to escape, with the dream becoming more and more confusing, erratic, with the still calm voice of Glenn Pierce trying to help you. But it comes with a sense of someone trying to keep a level head while things go very, very wrong. The main mechanic of the game is the utilization of forced perspective. Real-life examples include when people take photos of themselves with the Leaning Tower of Pisa in the background, staged in such a way that it looks like they're holding it up. In Superliminal, that is turned up to 11. If you pick up or place an object further away from yourself, it becomes bigger. If you move it closer, it becomes smaller. With this, you can create platforms to climb up on, enter toy-like buildings, or even shrink yourself down, and vice versa. You'll find objects painted in perspective, or in pieces, and you have to align yourself just so in order to bring that object to life. Floors won't exist unless you put something on it. Sometimes objects will duplicate instead of being moved or manipulated. I had a particularly challenging time in a room with a giant apple. The game teaches you to look around, literally change your perspective, and knowing that you must solve each puzzle. Some are a bit easier than others. There's a few rooms where I found myself walking around in circles, trying to find the moment when the solution would just click. But sometimes I would have a literal headache, trying everything I could think of, wandering around, hoping for the solution to reveal itself. A couple times I would solve it by accident, with a sense of, oh, that was it? It is mind-bogglingly clever how they managed to execute these mechanics, and for the first few minutes I just played around, marveling at it and all its possibilities. And for the most part, it was utilized in really fun and clever ways. I found myself getting deeper and deeper into the game, into the dream, as things got more and more twisted, unpredictable, progressing and finding a way forward somehow, while feeling like the ground I stood on was about to fall beneath me at any moment, like the crumbling edge of a cliff. The auditory experience was at odds with the erratic world I was experiencing, but it kept me grounded. The music was relaxing, clinical, like something you could hear in the waiting room at the dentist. It was understated, easy to tune out, but it always reminded me that I, the player, was definitely within a clinic at all times, trapped within dream therapy. That relaxing jazz music felt quite sinister as the game progressed. In addition, there are sounds specifically for giving you a sense of scale. You'll hear a cute little boop sound when you pick up or drop objects. However, you realize just how gigantic you made the object as the sound of it falling fills the room. It's not when it hits the ground, it's when it's falling through the air. What does that sound like? Like a big thing falling. I enjoy playing Superliminal. It was a lot of fun, with a lovely consistent art style that ties everything together. An impressive feat as you can see how lighting, tone, and setting changes throughout the game. The usage of forced perspective as a mechanic is fascinating and unique. I love unique when it's executed well. It didn't hold my hand, The game already told me everything I needed to know to solve these puzzles. I started off curious and excited, to even more curious and nervous when the tone of the game shifted. But it felt like there could have been more. More depth, more symbolism, more story. It felt anticlimactic. But thinking on it further, the ending wasn't bad. And I liked the message it presented. I finished the game feeling cheated. It's all just a game, right? But I've been thinking, does that make the dream unimportant?
I've just been watching some gameplay footage.
It's messing with my mind.
It is messing with my mind.
Yeah.
Our minds are messed.
They're all messed up. Oh.
I wasn't expecting to be able to pick up like a little, like someone to pick up a cube and then to just like bring it towards them, and the cube be like probably like a full 3 meters by 3 meters squared, and then like to pick it up and then to drop it at its feet and it to just be the size of a die, like a dice. I was like, what is going on? So
It's a very mind-bending game. It did give me a headache at times because I was just like, how does this cheese small but now big? Apple there but now here. I don't understand. But I'll find a way.
This might sound strange, but it looks like a game that would give me a headache, but like a fun headache.
Yeah.
it looks like it would be a little nauseating. I think it might mess with your like sense of depth perception and stuff. Does it do that?
There are definitely a lot of times when it would do some very weird things with your sense of depth perception. It would actually take advantage of that in a couple of levels.
Okay.
And it got to the point where, like, when you're walking through your home, you know where everything is, but then you turn off the lights, it's pitch dark. Suddenly you don't trust your path.
Right, yeah.
It's a bit like that.
Okay.
Freaky.
So you're always kind of on edge, you're not fully sure what you're walking into.
Yeah, it's very confusing, and I felt a little bit like Alice when she falls through the rabbit hole, and it's just like, what's gonna happen next? And
it looks a bit like that too, because it's this sort of like warping of reality around you, and there's things sort of shifting and stuff. So
Is this gonna crush me, or is it a choking hazard? Who knows?
But
that's the title of the episode. It's like, it's gonna crush me or choke on it.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm not too sure how I feel about the ending. I felt like they could have done more.
Without giving it away, what was specifically like disappointing about it? Because it's obviously like an optical illusion game puzzle thing, right?
It felt very when you read a story and it's of this very grand adventure,
Yeah.
and you get to the ending and it was all, they woke up and it was all just a dream.
Oh, so it's one of those kind of scenarios
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, what I did didn't really mean anything sort of feeling.
But I think that's also part of the message of the game, is that just because it was dream therapy, none of it is real.
Right,
But
okay.
Does that make it not important?
Interesting. So it's like plays on your perspective on what's real and what's valid as well, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, where can we play it?
You can play on Steam
Steam and Switch, no?
and
Switch?
on the Switch. You
Yeah.
can play it on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One.
Cool. Pretty
for-
inexpensive too, so
Yeah.
be sure to check that out. Well, thanks, Zahra. It was an awesome review.
No worries.
Yeah. Okay. And it is now time for Maylee, I believe.
It is.
Maylee
It
is
is
now giving a
my
review.
moment.
It's
Yes.
Maylee's moment.
Maylee's moment.
A May moment.
My moment. My memento.
Now I'm thinking of melting moments.
Melting moment.
Do you know the like a
yeah,
biscuit shortbread
yeah.
Those are really
thing?
good.
Those are really
I
good.
can review those instead.
Okay. Next week.
Okay.
Melting moments with May. Oh, that sounds like something else. Okay. Never mind. What?
Okay.
No,
I'm
I am
spicy now.
reviewing Flame in the Flood, and it is a family-friendly game.
Okay, go for it.
Take it away.
Flame in the Flood takes place in an apocalyptic world ravaged by a great flood. But the focus isn't on action, towering ruins, or cool weapons, rather on nature reclaiming itself. Nature is your greatest enemy and ally in this game, propelling you down the river, but also trying to stop you at every step. You play as Scout, a young survivalist following a radio signal down a perilous river. You aren't a fighter, but you have good survival skills to navigate danger and make what you need. Your only companion on this journey is your loyal and near indestructible dog Aesop, who finds resources for you, alerts you of danger, and even carries a second inventory. Aesop can't fight, but also can't get hurt, so I'm happy. It boosts vibrant visuals that overflow with a Southern Americana aesthetic. The colors are rich and the shadows are intimidating. The style, with help from the soundtrack, creates a charming, folksy setting that's relaxing even when fighting for your life. Sometimes. Usually at night during a thunderstorm, I wouldn't be able to make out an area and an enemy would jump out of the dark. While this wasn't ideal, it probably came close to that vision you'd actually have in that situation, and it kept me on my toes. The animal designs are great and threatening when they need to be. Though uncommon to meet, designs for NPCs are full of character, and I love them. Flame in the Flood offers 2 modes of gameplay, Campaign and Endless. Campaign has Scout searching for safety downriver and will take around 6 hours, assuming you don't die. The game does allow you to return to checkpoints when you die, but these are pretty spread out, so you'll still lose a lot of progress. The game consists of either sailing downriver or gathering resources from the locations on its banks. Thankfully, the game doesn't have time to get boring because just staying alive requires managing so many things. Additionally, each world is randomly generated, so each game is a different journey. Endless mode operates basically the same as the campaign, but with none of the story beats and no ending. It's best for people who want to achievement hunt or challenge themselves. Flame in the Flood doesn't offer a tutorial and just throws players into the thick of things. Mechanics are simple and don't need an explanation, but it can take some time to work out how to deal with enemies and treat different conditions. While having a tutorial certainly would have made things easier, discovering new ways to handle problems was one of the most rewarding parts of this game. Plus, what's a survival game without 100 deaths under your belt before you beat it? There are 7 things you need to manage in order to survive your journey. Hunger, thirst, temperature, energy, sickness, injury, and raft integrity. To improve one usually requires resources that risk or reduce another, creating the delicate balance that is key to survival games. It's easy to keep track of everything on the HUD. They even included a portrait that shows how close you are to death. The crafting system in this game is one of the best I've played with. There's a logical path from basic items to late game ones. The scarcity of items and the risk of obtaining them is well balanced throughout the journey. Some things definitely don't work as simply as they should, like when checking the stats of a particular clothing item, you have to equip it, you can't just look from your inventory. This would only cost me an extra second or 2, but it annoyed me every time. Thankfully, the few flaws were never enough to take away from my experience with this game. The soundtrack of this game is incredible and stands out for being comprised of acoustic country songs with strong vocals. The soundtrack, created by singer Chuck Reagan for this game, is the heart of it. It would still be enjoyable to play with different songs, but wouldn't be the same game at all, and would not be the same experience. I fell in love with the game in one of my earliest attempts. I was bleeding out, incredibly thirsty, and clinging to life on a raft, held together with string. I was disheartened and ready to give up when River and Dale began playing, bringing in a thunderstorm. I collected the rainwater and I sailed down the rapids to the next town with more supplies. I lived for many days after that and made it twice as far as any other attempt. These songs are hopeful, emotional, and always kicking in at just the right moment. Flame in the Flood doesn't offer too much story, and that is usually what I look for in games. However, its world is so captivating that I had no problem feeling emotionally engaged. The story doesn't offer much replay value, but that's what Endless Mode is for. If you're a fan of the survival genre, you should definitely check it out. If you want a rich world to get lost in, you should definitely check it out. And if you want a beautiful acoustic soundtrack, you should definitely check it out. Boom, boom, boom. that's my review. Maylee moment over.
Done. We're just watching, again, in studio here, just watching some gameplay footage of Flame in the Flood. I got it right. I was saying Flame to the Flood so much before. It's really bad. This looks amazing. Actually makes me think of Torchlight a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
With sort of that top-down, third-person perspective, and you've got like a pet that can also carry things, because you can do that in Torchlight as well. And the water looks like, if you have like, I don't know, some essential oils, and you like drop it into like a cup, and it's just like a nice film on top of like the little oily film on top. That's what the water makes me think of, is like this sort of like oil sort of sitting on top of like water, because obviously they can't mix. Yeah, anyway, that's my observations. It's cool. This looks amazing.
It's a beautiful art style. It's very satisfying to look at, and the gameplay is not overwhelming, but I imagine it's a lot to balance.
Yeah, I think most people will enjoy it, but it would definitely be a game for people who already enjoy the survival genre.
I mean, yeah. Survivalists love survival games because you have a lot to
survive.
My observations.
I've noticed this.
Because a lot of the fun comes from just managing your health, hunger, trying to get as far as possible, make as much progress as possible while still gathering the resources that you need to survive. It's all of like little calculations in your brain where it's just kind of like, can I afford to go another day, or should I just kind of like stay here for a moment to get food and stuff?
It's pretty cool. It's awesome.
And because I forgot to mention, you can find it on PC, Mac, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch. It's everywhere. Get it. And
Get the game.
It was developed by the Molasses Flood, who is bringing out a new game this year that I will be reviewing, and whose name I forgot.
Very good. I've just been told.
The company,
like you're telling me.
The company is the Molasses Flood.
Figure out what game Maylee will be reviewing.
Yeah.
Maylee sends me like a list. She's like, here you go, Evie. These are mine. Everyone else, back off.
Go away.
Molasses Flood?
The Molasses Flood is the company
that
made Flame in the Flood. So Zahra, the game, also might have flood in the name.
Isn't molasses a type of
It's a sugar.
Yes.
Sounds like a delicious flood.
I know that
melting moments.
There was a molasses flood though, decades ago.
Was there?
Yeah, there was.
Too soon.
People were not okay after that.
Well, okay. Well, thanks for the review, and thank you guys for like awesome show today. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for like letting us into. Well, wait, you didn't let me into the building. Somebody else did.
You
Yeah,
let
that's
me and
right.
Zahra, so thank you, Zahra.
Oh, you're welcome, Maylee.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks for Triple Z for allowing me to put my voice on the frequencies every week.
we love you, Evie.
Woo, thanks everybody. Yay, woo. I will be the next Ellen. Sorry, I'm holding a can of worms right now. It's Ellen. Anyway, on that note, thanks everybody for listening to Z Games, and I hope you have a lovely week. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Z Games. If you'd like to listen to more, check out our podcast on Spotify or follow us on social media at ZEDGamesAU. See you next time.